Oh, we got some Florida people too, all over the country. This is good. Very fun. Now I'm in Michigan. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan area. So um, I have been teaching and working in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area for 28 years. So very fun. All right, we've got Nevada, California, New Jersey. Hi, Taylor. I did say that
Oh,
you were coming to join us. I said I introduced myself, Dr. Kristen Toplinsky, for those of you that are still getting in, and Taylor Kessler's here, and he's going to be helping us today too.
I'm from Cleveland. If any fellow Ohioans, Ohio born and raised out here
Yeah,
on the
we've
East
got
Coast.
some from Brecksville.
Brecksville, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yep. So we've got some there.
Brecksville, Kristen, I believe
Yeah,
that
that's
you
the
have
one that
spoken with them
I was going to
before,
say. Some
so
of them may remember me from there because that's where I was.
a familiar voice.
I did one of their trainings. I think they had a couple different ones, did they?
Correct.
Yeah. So I did one of theirs. Yeah. It's fun. Well, hopefully everybody's having a good morning, and we'll get started here in just about another minute. But we've got people from all over the country with us today, so that's exciting. And we're going to be talking about getting the most out of those science investigations with that limited time. And we know in elementary we certainly have limited time. I'll
Mm.
have Taylor kind of monitor the chat, so if you have questions, throw them in there, and he'll stop and interrupt me. Um, at the end as well. And somebody asked about the QR code. Yes, I believe my last slide has that QR code in it. So when we get to the end of the session, we'll make sure that we get that QR code up again for you. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our plan today, just a couple housekeeping things. Question answer, throw those in there. If you need closed captioning, go ahead and show that. And then make sure you chat to everyone so that we can all see all your great ideas as we kind of go through our session today. So we're going to talk a little bit about best practices um, in science and on time-saving tips for science, and then some lesson prep time-saving tips, and then also determining those key concepts and looking kind of at the information that TCI has given you to help kind of determine maybe how you could shorten or take some different investigations out. We'll have time for questions and answering. We'll have that survey in the closing, which will include that QR code for the certificate, so that those of you that in some states, I know you can get time for this session. So let's just start by throwing some things in chat. What are some of the time saving tips that you have tried that have been helpful? Timers. Okay. Yep. Any other ones?
Especially our primary teachers. We know that you
Yeah.
guys
Oh
have to
gosh,
work with
yes.
this
Group
sometimes.
work, definitely. Reading for homework. Okay. Yeah, can they do some of the reading things at home? Everything prepped, cut, measured ahead of time. Yep, definitely. Pair share. Yep. Groups, time stations. Those are all good things. All right. Well, those are all good ideas. We'll kind of get in. I'm going to hit on some of those that you've already mentioned, but we'll get into the rest of them that I have for you today. All right. So I've made this handout, and Taylor's going to link it for you. It's a two-page handout in color. And we're going to kind of go through each of those. And what I'm going to do is highlight different grade levels and show you, but certainly whatever grade level you're at, you'll find examples of ways that you can use these time-saving tips within your TCI platform. So I'm going to go live and show you a few different examples of different lessons and ways that you can do this. But one of the first ones, which somebody kind of mentioned, is like the group work. So jigsaw the investigation. So this particular third grade lesson, it has three different investigations. So what you could do with something like this is when you have this investigation, you can have three different, you could have, I would do it if roughly, I usually had about 24 to 28 students. So I just made this one for 24. So it has three different parts of the investigation. I would have two groups for each of the three parts. So 6 groups total, roughly 4 students a group. And with this one, you're exploring forces in motion and you're looking at magnets. So you're going to have one group is just going to explore um, bar magnets. They're going to be looking at different bar magnets. That's the first group. The second group is going to be looking at electromagnets and really exploring and making electromagnets. And then the third group is going to be comparing and contrasting those two things. So they're actually going to have to look at both of them and then look at the difference between the two. And so as you do this jigsaw, they're going to be learning about different forces. Then they're going to be sharing out what they found. There's also an extension that you can do with this in the investigation if you wanted to have a separate group, if you have students that are identified in your class as gifted, or you know that they're just very high in science, you certainly could give them one of the extension activities. So that is always an option too. But jigsawing or having groups do different parts of the investigation would be great. You could do it if you wanted to do it in stations, you could, but if you'd rather just have the students just do part of it and then share out their findings, that works really great. I have seen teachers do different things with like a fun science Friday. Right? We're always trying to find ways to keep our kids with us on a Friday afternoon. And this is one example in a 4th grade unit. It's Unit 2, Lesson 4. There are 6 different parts to Unit 2, Lesson 4. And so certainly you could have these set up in stations. Students could rotate through the stations. A lot of times if I'm going to do this fun Science Friday, I'm going to have parents come in and help at the different stations. That's really helpful. They're going to be building circuits. And, this is always challenging for students because, the little things can go wrong, right? Like they don't have the wire just connected right or whatever. So this is a great example in 4th grade of a way that you could certainly have different stations and get support. If you don't have parents that can come in, that's not possible in your district, then you also could, find other people that can help if there's paraprofessionals or someone else. Certainly that would be helpful as well. So there are 6 different stations. There's a light bulb, just a light bulb with the battery. Then there's a light bulb and a switch. There's a buzzer and a light bulb, a buzzer, a light bulb and a switch, a buzzer, a light bulb, a switch, and a motor. So you can see there's going to be these 6 different things. And then you can also do, if you want like an extension again, you could do this with all your kids or just certain kids where they're going to make kind of a puzzle and have to try to light it up and connect it in different ways. So certainly having like a fun Science Friday where you have different stations set up and letting the kids go through the stations. That's another great way to save time because you're just doing everything all in one day. And then, you've got everything prepped and just all done in that day. Then you don't have to get all those materials out every day to do all these different 6 different pieces that they have to do, these circuits. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is teacher-led demonstrations. So in TCI, or you could always do this yourself and make a little video. In TCI, though, they have videos built in, and this is just an example of one where the teacher, this one is a video we're watching, the teacher is actually conducting this investigation. Now, this video is to help us understand, what we should do, but you certainly could do this in front of the kids live. But I wanted to show you on this video, this is one example of something that would be great for a demonstration. You might not want everybody to do this one. You might not have enough supplies. So certainly this could be done as a demonstration.
Now it's time to mix your ingredients. Pour the yeast in the bottle A using the funnel. Remember to screw the cap back on tightly. Then shake the bottle well to mix the yeast and water. Now pour the sugar into bottle B. Like you did with bottle A, shake it until the sugar dissolves. Finally, pour both the yeast and the sugar into bottle C. Shake the bottle and mix them with the water. Now it's time to take the caps off each bottle. Start with bottle A. One person in your group will hold the bottle while another person stretches the balloon over the top of the bottle. Do the same for bottles B and C. Then set all 3 bottles in direct sunlight and leave them there for 24 hours. Complete number 3 in your notebook. After the 24 hours has passed, observe all 3 bottles. What do you see?
All right, so this is one that you certainly could set that up and have the students watch you demonstrate what you're doing. Then you can leave those supplies out overnight, and they can see how much the balloon fills up on the bottle with the sugar and the yeast. So another example is an actual video investigation. So this one's from the earth science unit that we have. And in this video investigation, you're going to see that the students are going to be collecting data from the videos. So sometimes, if we can have little video clips or things for them, it's very helpful and it makes it easier. So they're going to connect to the phenomenon. They're going to look at these and they're going to watch this. Now, this particular one, they're going to watch the video and answer the questions about it. This is the first simulation, and then there's a second simulation. So we'll watch this. And they're looking at the water and how the currents are moving in the water, and how it flows. So they're going to take notes on simulation 1. What do they think is happening? And then the second one, they're going to watch and see what's happening here. This is the second situation. So they're going to be thinking about, why are all these bubbles coming up and what's actually happening? So again, remember, TCI is set up to be inquiry-based, so they're going to be just wondering about these two situations at first, and then later in this lesson, we're going to get into an actual, you can do it as a demonstration or just watch the video. I'm going to go actually to the one, get to it here, where you actually are putting food coloring into a bath of water, and then you're going to see that they're going to put a cup of warm water under part of it. And then you're going to be looking at what happens with warm water as it moves versus cooler water. And the blue is going to be the cooler water, or cooler area of the water, I guess I should say. And then the red or the orange is going to be warmer. Here's where they're going to place the hot water underneath, and they're going to watch to see what happens over time. And obviously this is sped up by time as it warms, but you're going to see how the cooler part, it takes longer to bring that in, but it's circulating, the hot water is circulating faster, and then the cool water will circulate, and then as it cools, it drops, and it keeps cycling through, just like in the ocean current. So videos are certainly great ways to help our students really see what's happening, and being able to watch a video is one of the things that TCI does well, and there's lots of good examples of those video investigations in there. We talked a little bit about this, about someone I think threw in the chat about making sure everything is ready to go. I will say too, like for me, having it all organized is key, because when I go back to it, when I have that investigation again, I want everything to be together. So I will use like those plastic shoe boxes or some type of container to keep supplies together if it's stuff that I don't have to use for multiple investigations. I oftentimes, which I have an example right here, will use that plastic envelope, and I might just have the group name on it, and I've got 6 envelopes, and I just throw everything in the envelope for that day for the investigation. Ziploc bags, you can see inside I've got a Ziploc bag or a small box, but the more I can have things organized and ready to go, the quicker it will be. I did have years where I had self-contained and it was just the one class, but I also had years where I had 3 different classes that I taught science to. So, having these things ready, and then, making sure that everything gets put back in them after the session is super helpful as well. But definitely, the more you can be organized, it's going to save you time in the long run. You certainly could have, if you do have parent volunteers or people that are willing to help, certainly, that's something that you could have a parent come in and help you organize that stuff too. We don't always have that though. All right, so we're going to get on now to the second page of our ideas, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the rest of the ones that we have. All right, so this one, I will tell you, I use Teacher Pay Teacher, but I don't rarely ever purchase anything, and I did double check this morning. This is still on Teacher Pay Teacher, and it is free. And I love having these roles. So obviously, if you don't have 6 kids in a group, you can adjust these roles. You don't have to have these 6, but you certainly could have them do. If you have 3 people in a group, you could have them do 2 of the jobs. But certainly having routines in the lab and having roles in the lab, really establishing those at the beginning of the year will be so helpful. And just really, especially, I know when I'm doing like a science and engineering challenge, I want just one person to come get the materials that you need. Or if I've got the hot glue gun out, because we're going to be hot gluing something for the engineering, I want just one student to come up. I don't want your whole group to come up. So, having those roles and routines really help, if you establish them at the beginning of the year, to cut out time as you go throughout the year. So this is just one example, but you certainly could use any lab roles and routines that you want. My students even had to sign like a little form about safety in the lab. So you want to establish that at the beginning of the year too. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is science stories. So I'm going to get into this. This one is a second grade one. And I put this image of ant farm in here because in the science story they want you to go outside, but I thought, well, what if you teach this unit when it's cold outside, like in Michigan, and when it's frozen? We're not going to be seeing ants outside in the middle of winter. So I wanted to show you the super simple science stories can also be done with different things like this one where they have the little ant farm. All right, so here's the science stories. And these are going to be K-5. So if you're in middle school, this is not, that you don't have science stories. And this one's very short. It's like a minute and a half.
Before we get started, gather these materials. Super simple science. A colony of leafcutters. Rainforests have animals that are big and small. How do tiny ants meet their needs? If you visit a rainforest, you may see some ants carrying leaves above their heads. The leaves look bigger than the ants. These ants are leafcutter ants. Leafcutter ants work together in a colony. There are many different jobs that need to be done. The queen lays eggs. These eggs grow into soldiers and workers. The soldiers protect the nest. The workers help feed the colony. Some workers have jaws that are strong enough to break through human skin. These workers cut out pieces of leaves. They carry them back to the nest, but the ants do not eat the leaves. Inside the nest, other workers cut the leaves into small pieces. They use these pieces to grow the food they eat. Ants may be small, but they work together to survive. Each ant has a different job so that all the ants can meet their needs. Now you try it. Follow the instructions to conduct your own investigation.
All right, so this particular story, if you scroll down, you'll see the rest of it, but it does say choose an outdoor area, find an insect group. But you certainly could, if it was the middle of winter or you couldn't take them outside and find anything, you certainly could do something with like an ant farm too here to just kind of monitor and watch and see what goes on. But this is a great one. If you do teach second grade, you can also get into a lot about teamwork. If you teach this one at the beginning of the year, it would be a great way to kind of establish and talk about teamwork and how, there are lots of different groups of animals that work together as a team and why it's important for them for sure too. All right, so super simple science and science stories. Certainly if you are in middle school too, you can also find like different picture books and things that you could certainly bring in as added resources too, if you want to bring in some science stories. All right. So somebody had said use a timer. So I found this just cute. It's a science timer, but you can find lots of them on YouTube. I'll just show you real quick here. I'll open it up and show you, but that's one thing you can do. Just got some cute little music and just a 5-minute quick timer. That's certainly another way to help your students stay on track. If they've got that timer counting down, they know they've got to get it done. Oh shoot, you couldn't find it, the lab routines. All right, I'll take you there and show you how to find it. Whoever that is, I'll show you in just a second here after we get done with this part. But certainly a timer is really going to help those students to stay focused. They know that they're kind of under a time crunch. The other thing that I have done is if kids can't, if they really are struggling with the timer, is I might put in place if your group is the only one that's not done or whatever, that you are going to have to then watch the next stages. Like especially if it's something where they have to build something and then they need that built to move on. I have in the past just said, if your group is struggling to get this part done, you might just have to watch the other group, and that maybe gives them a little bit more push to get it done in the amount of time that I'm giving them. So certainly, definitely the timer is helpful. The other thing that you can do is if you go into the correlation guides, and I'm going to pull it up, but I'll show you where it is too. If you look at the NGSS correlations, this is the second grade one that we were talking about, you're going to see where the standards fall. And as you look down, like for example, this particular standard, you can see it's taught in several different places. So as you look at that, you're going to see that there might be some things that you can eliminate. So after you look at this for your grade level, and again, it's going to be, if you go down in here, now I'm in the California one, so that's going to be a little different than if you're not in California, but you just go to that correlations and then it pulls it right up for you. So whatever grade level you're in, go down to the reference section and then click on correlations. So I'll open up another grade level just to show you. Let's go into 8th grade. Again, if you go to correlations, and it may say you're still signed in, but it's taking you somewhere else, it's right there. So anybody can find their correlation guide, again, just under reference and correlations. And then you can take a look at that and see, are there some things maybe that you could eliminate so that you're not having to, because it is, especially if this is your first year using TCI or any new program that you're using, it just takes longer. And give yourself that grace to, it's okay if you don't finish it. You might have to just do some reading or some other like quick coverage type things when you get to the end. So just keep that in mind that might happen. Partial investigation. So sometimes I might do like part of it as a demonstration, or I might do a video of part of it and then let them finish it. So I'm just going to show you an example of that. And I gave myself a note, slide 7 and 8. So let's take a look at slide 7 and 8. And all right. So with this one, it's kind of like a demonstration. So you could actually watch this video part first and either not do this part or let them do this part after you watch the video, but you don't have to do the whole thing. You can they're basically taking the first part, let me go back. They have a test tube filled with water, and you can see beaker A is all water, beaker B is all oil, and then beaker C is oil and water. So they're looking to see, if I put a test tube of water in, can I still see the test tube? And that's what they're trying to determine. If you look at it says watch closely as I put this into each of the 3 beakers. What do you see happening? So test tube 1 is water, test tube 2 is air, and test tube 3 is oil. So you're going to kind of test those out. Okay, so that first one was just the water one. So they're going to kind of record what they see. So you could do something like this where we're not actually going to do that part live. We're just going to watch the video, and then they're going to type their notes, and then maybe you might do the air and the vegetable oil together. And then it just gives you some tips and tricks and things to do. But certainly you could do partial investigation as either a demonstration or watch part of the video and then do the rest together. Let me show you, because as somebody said, somebody linked it on Teacher Pay Teacher. Awesome. Okay. I was going to say that one was in there. And I think it wasn't when I first originally found it, but when I went back to double check, it was still there. It is in 2 different colors now, which is kind of fun. So you can pick your color scheme that you want in your classroom. All right. Okay. So just So just a little fun science teacher monitors recess, right? So we're always experimenting with our kids and trying different things. So, okay, somebody's so hopefully you can see the humor in this one. But somebody said, "Is this still second grade? Because I don't think mine can type yet." Oh, you're talking about. Oh, typing in there. Okay, so second grade, I can go back to the second grade one. Remember, you have lots of options. Most districts have or many districts have the notebooks. So let me just go back to that example that I was talking about with, let me see if I can find it. Let me go back here. They were asking about typing. So this is second grade, the super simple science story. And these that are down here, there's also things in your notebook too. So you can certainly have them write it right in their notebook. That doesn't have to be typed. So anything that you are seeing on the platform, you can also just have them write it into their book, their scientific notebook. All right, other questions about that before? Okay. All right. All right. What are some other ideas or thoughts or questions that you might have? Looking to see. Is my, okay. Somebody said their internet is unstable. All right. So just a few reminders, and then I'm going to give you time to go back and look at a few things. Somebody else is asking, okay, about did you guys find the link? Somebody put the link in for the Teachers Pay Teachers. I can relink it too, but somebody did ask about that. There it is again, if you need it. Yes. Really good idea. Somebody was saying about the other thing too is that when you have the science journal, which I can bring up, let me just bring up an example of that. If I go into a lesson, obviously you'll have the whole science journal, but certainly another time-saving tip is to have them have this out as you're going through the lesson. Is then they can hand write these notes in while they're doing the investigation. Sometimes, especially in those lower grades, I know you're trying to get them off the computers, so having them handwrite, have their investigation notebooks out. Another time-saving tip too is I've seen teachers that will tear the pages out of what they're going to work on that day and then put everything else aside. That way students can turn it in if you want to see their work. But that's another way to help and support them with the actual writing. So yes. Oh, the link for somebody's asking for the link for the time-saving tips. Do you have that one, Taylor? Or if not, I can open it up and send it.
The
actual
Is that the PDF?
Yep, it's a PDF, but let me see if I can find it. I should have it in my drive. Let's look. Saving tips. Let's see if I got it. I don't have it linked with me right here. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Let me share that link. It's right here. And I'll put it in there. Okay, there we go. All right, so now you have it, but this is just kind of gives you those ideas. It gives you some different ways that you can think about this as well, of those different tips. And using the timer obviously is very helpful. What other questions or thoughts might you have? If not, we'll get back and we'll finish up the last few parts. All right. And maybe you'll even have enough time during our session we can you can get your survey done. All right, so don't forget we have professional development for you, and we're here to support you. A couple different ways that you can find that professional development. If you're in the platform, you can go right here to professional development, and you can see those courses here. Then also, if you go up here to the question mark, you can either go to help, and it gives you more of a linear way to find support, and that's always really helpful. So you can click on help and click continue, and then you could type in what you're looking for, whatever it is that you want to learn more about or do, whether that's grading or assigning or whatever it is. But that's another way you can get help. You also can send us feedback and ask questions through this feedback tab. That's another way as well. All right. So then also TCI always does product updates, and you're going to see those product updates right up here where the gift is. If there's a dot when you come in, you can click on that and it's going to tell you what the last update was. This one happens to be about the summit today, so you'll find that too. That's where you're going to find all those updates. All right, so then we do have TCI Facebook group. We have Instagram page, and those are great ways too to connect with other teachers, because if you throw out a question about a specific lesson, like maybe you're having trouble getting kids to do some type of investigation, or you're not sure exactly how to set it up, this is the first time that you've taught it, use Facebook, because that people will respond quickly and give you ideas and suggestions that are super helpful. So definitely use that resource as well. And then I talked a little about in-app professional development. If you use like Google Classroom or something where you need to connect, those resources are there. So how do you feel about today? Did we get you some ideas and things that are helpful for you? Hopefully. Got a little function. Good.
Love seeing some ones.
Yes.
Exciting.
Ones and twos are always good.
Yeah.
Whew, or you feel like you got a lot of work with all that prepping and you're going to throw me a 5. That's I understand. Especially the first year you teach something, you're going to have to do a lot more prep than you've ever had to do before. So certainly helpful. All right. Okay. We do have TCI coaching, and you certainly can become more of a lead professional if you like in your district, and certainly you can scan and learn more about becoming a TCI coach. But they do every year, they have one in California and one in Florida. I don't know if they're thinking about expanding to the Midwest, but I know Taylor and I would like to see that. We'd love to see a Midwest coaching camp, but
Absolutely.
certainly hopefully they'll expand. All right. So don't forget, we're giving away those $50 gift cards. And so we want to make sure that you share some things that you learned today with that hashtag TCI Summit 26. And then also, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram to win those gift cards. That certainly would be helpful as we head back to school. I know we're all spending our own money out of our pockets to get supplies and things. All right, so here is the survey. If you want to scan that and take that survey, we've got a few minutes here that you can go ahead and take that survey and then get your certificate of attendance.